What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate every one of you being here. Happy Friday to you. Today we're going to continue on with our TDCJ War Story series, and we're going to get into what should we talk about today? Let's talk about pat downs. Now, for those who don't know, most of you do know, for those who don't, pat down is the act of a corrections officer pulling an offender / inmate off to the side and searching them for any kind of contraband or anything on them that they're not supposed to have. It was as simple as telling an inmate, go ahead and step over here, turn around, put your arms out to your side, walk your legs out to the side. That was a nice way of saying spread your legs. You could say spread your legs, but get ready for the barrage that was going to come from it from there. So typically I would say go ahead and walk your feet out to the side. Normally they didn't know what I was talking about, but we worked it out from there. And then from there, you start from the top, work your way on down. Arms out to the side, start, move your arms, move your hands down their arms and just feel for anything that feels out of place. It was usually pretty easy. From what I remember, there were two types of uniforms that they had. They had the white shirts, they had white trousers, white socks, and either slippers or the black boots that they had gotten from the commissary. In SEG, they wore a onesie, a jumper. Basically, think of like coveralls, not overalls that just have the strap that leave you wearing a shirt, but like the guys at the mechanic shops wear. The coveralls, they were all short sleeves, and then they had whatever kind of shoes that they would have from there. The ones that I didn't get a whole lot of experience with, and this stems from the few times that I worked general population as well as OJT, and if anybody watching this does know more, please comment down below and help me out with it. It was an oversized shirt, and it had a zipper that went down it. And I don't know if it was for something, if the guys had something with heart problems, a pacemaker. It was some kind of a medical shirt. Please, if anybody does see this and can further educate a little bit more of what it was, let me know about what that was. It threw me off, and I didn't deal with it a whole lot. In fact, I kind of just brushed over it and let those guys go. So if they did have a sack of peanut butter or some chicken wings or some sweat meat strapped to them, hey, good on you. You got past me. So there are a lot of different stories that I could tell about specific pat down situations. One of my earlier videos talked about when I was patting down an individual outside the chow hall, and a supervisor got jumped by an offender coming out of the chow hall, and I backed him up as best I could as the situation would allow for. That was my first use of force video. If you're interested, go ahead and check it out in the earlier archives. But today we'll talk about a patting down an offender in the education office. One of the many things that inmates do throughout TDCJ, they work, they go to class, they go to medical, they have all different kinds of assignments. And throughout the day, they're supposed to be patted down as often as they could. When there was a long group of OJT individuals, I'm not sure how it is nowadays, but I know when I went in, there were 5 of us OJT-wise. Anytime we weren't tasked with anything from our FTO, or if we were in transit from one area to the other, for instance, if we were going to medical and we were on our way, say, to the dorms, we would always have to stop and pat down inmates. We couldn't be tasked with working a building or supervising anything, but we certainly could pat these nasty dudes down. We were supposed to wear you could say latex gloves, rubber gloves, the kind you get from the doctor's office. Man, standing out there on that concrete slab underneath the metal overhead bulkhead with the chain link fences all around us, wearing those long sleeve starch shirts, I sweated. Oh my God, did I sweat? There was absolutely no airflow. Those concrete buildings would just generate heat. And man, my gloves, the worst part, the fingertips, would just absolutely fill up with sweat. I tried pulling little holes in the gloves so the sweat could kind of drain out. When I'd get done patting them nasty dudes down, my hands would look like I just got out of the bathtub, like I'd been soaking in the tub for about 45 or 50 minutes. Prune fingers is what you would call it. It just miserable. So to get around that, after about a week and a half of being on OJT, instead of carrying around the latex gloves and using those, I would wear the mechanics gloves. Those are the ones that you buy in the auto department at Walmart or AutoZone, Advance Auto Part, O'Reilly's. On the back of the glove, it's got mechanics written on it, and they're kind of popular at Halloween with skeleton costumes off in the distance. I'd show it to you, but I don't have them right here where I can get to them. They're actually at work. I keep them in my locker. They kind of look skeleton-ish, so kind of a popular Halloween costume item. Anyway, I'd wear those, and I carried a clear bottle of hand sanitizer, little small one. I had the label torn off of it, so that way it was easier to get through when I went through pat down. And when I got done patting all these guys down, I'd pull it out of my pocket, and I would just squirt it on the gloves and just rub my hands around. Styles unit was classified as a medical unit. I don't know what it is right now, but you could count on pretty much 90% of those dudes having some kind of communicable disease. And you didn't know what because they were all protected by the HIPAA law. So anytime you touch one of those nasty dudes, there's no telling what they had with them. So we were always supposed to wear gloves. Did I wear them all the time? No. Did I pat a lot of guys down? Yes. So, anyway, getting back on topic here. This particular situation, I was working in the education office. I was on OJT, and a lot of times we would get broken up. Not all 5 of us would travel together. Officer Lewis might have 2 of us go to the back gate, 2 of us go to SEG, 1 of us go to either the mailroom or property. You get the idea. In this particular situation, it was the 2 of us, myself and this other female. I don't remember her name. Education is where the guys would go in and do their schooling and do their classes. I know for certain they could get their GED at a minimum. I think they could potentially get up to a high school degree. I think some of them might have been able to work toward collegiate degrees, if that's the right word for it. The Windsor might have been the name for it. Windham, something wind with another word to it. One word, of course, but Winsome, Windsor, Wyndham Independent School District. It was actually, and I believe it still is, a school district that is exclusive to TDCJ, that its job is educating inmates, helping to rehabilitate them, get their degree, get their education, so when they do get back into society, they can put that degree to good work. Yeah, right. Whatever. Anyway, this is spoken from a CO side. Former CO at that. So, these guys would go to their classes. Well, they weren't supposed to bring anything with them. They weren't supposed to bring contraband with them, supposed to play nice. Do you think they did? Abso-fucking-lutely not. So when they would stream in, they were supposed to get patted down, get ID'd, and go from there. There was this older gentleman, officer. I don't remember his name. I might change that. I might change the name of the show to that. Anyway, there was this older individual who supervised education, them going in education at the time, and he sat at the desk. And they were supposed to show their ID card to him. They were supposed to show their travel slip to him and what class that they were actually going to. They were supposed to be patted down before they went into it. Well, there would be probably close to 50, almost seem like 100 of these guys that would go in and out of education. And there weren't there was not a whole long line of COs ready to pat these guys down to make sure that the flow of contraband was stopped. That was left up to the OJT individuals. If there were 5 of them, great. If there was just 2 of us, as there were in this particular incident, we did the best that we could. And it was done just like it was at the chow hall. We would pull one to the side, pat them down, grab the next one. If 3 or 4 of them got past us while we were doing our pat down, oh well. Now we had 2 options: quality, quantity. Quality, you take your time, you do a thorough pat down of the individual, you make sure that everything's good. What happens in that instance? 8 other offenders get by. Quantity, I run my hands down his arms, down his chest, up his legs, tap the crotch. Oh yeah, get all up in there. Not like this. Marry the thumb. And then grab the next one. Just making the best show of it that we could. So it was a really tough situation. You wanted to do the right thing, but you had to do what you had to do to get things by. If you tried to pat every single one of them down, class would start, the teacher would start complaining and yelling, and the guys would start beating and banging. They're late for their class, and yeah, you just had to get done what you could get done with what you had. So pat them down as fast as we could. So with this situation, I remember the guy. He was a bigger dude. Heavy set's not necessarily the word. Dude was freaking muscle bound. Like, all right, I ain't trying to show off. There's my bicep. Okay, this dude, like 2 of mine. Huge freaking dude. And I pulled him out of the line, had him turn around, put his arms out to the side. I had my gloves on. We called him Cap, the senior CO that I was talking about earlier. He was a captain when he was retired. A lot of supervisors and a lot of senior COs, they would retire, wait 90 days, rehire, collect their retired pay, and collect their CO pay. Typically, they'd hire back on as CO4s. I don't know what it is right now. This is as of 2013, and we called it double dipping. They were making good cash. They were individuals who were able to make full careers out of TDCJ. Mad shout out to you. So, this individual, I pulled him off to the side, had him put his arms out to his side, started patting him down. And I had squatted down, and I would always put my hand on their back. I'd have this hand free, so hand on their back, and I'd move this hand down the leg, this hand on the back, down on that. That way, if they tried to swing or back or anything like that, instead of me having both hands while I'm squatted down, falling over backwards, I could push off the individual, give myself a little bit of leverage, and have them thrown off balance. That wasn't something that was taught at the TDCJ Academy. That was something that I had learned in the Coast Guard. So whether it was authorized or not, whatever. Well, a situation started happening with the female CO that I was working with next to me. I was patting this guy down, and I remember I had my hand on his back, and I don't know what the altercation was with her. Guy started going stupid. I could hear a female voice start going, and Cap had gotten up, and I remember I was squatted down, had my hand on the guy, my other hand down bottom of his ankle, and I looked over, and I saw Cap starting to get up, and this guy, I felt him pull away because my hand wasn't on his back anymore, and I started reaching forward, and instinctively, I closed my hand, grabbing his shirt. Now, I don't think I should have done that. Maybe I should have let the guy just go ahead and get away from me, because he came off the freaking chain. It was like I had reached down and grabbed onto the cord of a lawnmower, pulled the cord of the lawnmower, and the engine came alive. Okay, I'm pushing forward, my hand instinctively closed. I felt it pull like that. Dude got up in my face. I kind of stepped back a little bit, bumped into the wall behind me. Dude's in my face, yelling, hollering at me. He had his hands down. He wasn't grabbing at me, but he was all up in my face, yelling, hollering at me. This might get taken off of YouTube. The words, this is the reality of it. Calling me fag and dick beater and meat gazer. I'm fucking trying to hold on to him, try to make love to him with my hand, just everything that he could, calling me everything of a homosexual nature because I had my hand on his back, is the best thing that I can describe. I think he was trying to get a ruse out of me. He knew, obviously, I was OJT, new guy. I think he was trying to get a ruse out of me, trying to get me to put my hands up, hit him, strike him, so then he could, end quote, defend himself. Now, offenders couldn't defend themselves. If a CO put their hands on them, they were supposed to go limp. Did they? Yeah, fuck yeah. Anyway, so dude's up in my face yelling at me. At this point, whatever was going on beside me had stopped. Cap comes over. He starts yelling at the guy. Now, these two are yelling at each other. I know I'm saying something. I don't remember what. It was probably something to the nature of offender, submit yourself to corrections officer TDC. Yeah, that official stuff we were supposed to say. It was probably something more like, you better get your bitch ass down on the ground right now. Stop doing what. Yeah, the words that would come out, you react in situations, and it's a phenomenon called auditory exclusion. You're saying things, but you're not hearing what you're saying, and vice versa. You're in a situation, somebody's saying something to you, you don't hear it because you're so involved in what's going on, and it takes something to jar you out of that situation. Either a slap, a bump, some kind of physical force is usually what's required to get your attention back. It's also known as tunnel vision, although tunnel vision can apply to anything. Driving at night, focused on one thing. Tunnel vision is a little bit easier to break than auditory exclusion. So they're into it in this, and the offender beside the guy actually starts hitting him on the shoulder. Hey man, stop. We got to go to class. I remember that because at that point, my auditory exclusion had been broken, and I thought those two were about to get into it with each other. They weren't. He was actually using a little bit of convict justice and stopping the situation because he knew it was about to get bad. All right. They go on to class. Okay, he didn't get pulled aside. He didn't get sent to SEG, nothing like that. He was actually allowed to go on. And I'm just profusely covered in sweat. There was no air conditioning in the area, closed building, hot as could be. A couple of inmates go by, they go on down the walkway, and I go to pat the next one down. And I remember him saying, "Oh, what, you gonna fucking feel me up just like you did?" And I ignored it. I went on with what I was doing, and the next couple of inmates, it was the same freaking thing. You gonna fill me up just like you did him. I bet you like filling up on just everything that they could to get some kind of a ruse out of me. Got to the end of the line of inmates, and we're standing there just kind of taking a breath. Okay, cool, good. At that point, it wasn't so much break time, but that's where we were assigned. Our time wasn't up, and we were done patting down all the inmates. And Cap, he sat down back at his desk. He motioned me over to me. He's like, "Hey, look, man, I don't know what you did to set him off, but when that happens, you got to do the best you can to take care of yourself. And you did good. He was trying to get something out of you. You didn't give it to him." I said, "Thanks, Cap." And as I'm standing there talking to him, I see out of the corner of my eye something coming. I looked, and it was this dude. And as he's coming at me, I'm reaching for my belt, going for my pepper spray. He holds his hands up. Boss man, I ain't got nothing, boss man. Let me talk to you, boss man. Boss man, please, I just want to talk to you." He stopped. He had his hands up. Cap had stood up halfway out of his seat. What's up, man? He's like, hey, look, man. And this was completely out of left field. Hey, look, I ain't going to apologize for what happened. All right. I don't know what was going on there. You made me uncomfortable. Okay. I ain't got no beef with you. Nothing. I don't want to write no charges. I don't want no paperwork. I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna do nothing. Let's just put this behind us. Okay. It, Fine. Whatever. I just wanted to tell you that, man. Turned around and then walked back out. Went in his class. I looked over at Cap, and Cap said, "That's about the closest you're gonna get to an apology from an inmate." Okay, cool. Come to find out later on what had happened, he had gone in the class, and I found this out from the teacher who had talked to Cap. And the next time that I was patting down guys there in the classroom, he told me about it. Said that after he got in his class, all the inmates in there, a couple of them went over to him and told him, hey, look, you going to catch a case for this shit. You're going to shut class down. You better go make this right. Basically telling him, hey, go. They were scared I was going to write an assault charge on him and anybody else that was around it, and that would have shut class down, put it all on lockdown, and whatever business that they had going on, inmate business, not education, was going to shut everything down. So they had him come back and talk to me, try to smooth things over. Now, I could have written a case, very well should have, but being new, that wasn't where my head was, adrenaline going, whatever. That just wasn't my mind frame. So that's how quick things can pop off, and you might have no idea how inmates going to react, what they're capable of doing. It's just one of those situations. I'm patting the guy down, and all of a sudden now here he is in my face. And it could have gone a lot worse. Dude could have bear hugged me, taken me down. I could have poked his eyes out, hung from his... Yeah. But it didn't go that way. It went just the way as the story that I told you. And I never saw the guy again. He was general population. I'd soon go on to be assigned to SEG and do my business from there. Just want to tell you guys that story about how things can go from seemingly fairly normal to just absolute stupid, literally within seconds. It's just a very volatile situation, and you never know who you're dealing with in those kind of situations. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a like. If you didn't, give me a dislike. Tell me what you did or didn't like about it. Happy Friday. Hope everyone enjoys their weekend. Everyone take care of yourselves and be safe.